A lot of, me from the hood, so people look at Bleek and don't understand the business he's doing. They always look at Jay like, oh, yeah.
But that's why you got like Yayo talking about, Jay don't take care of I don't need Jay to go on tour.
Yo smoke hard coke, yo.
Yo, chill.
You look like you need to be taken care of. You look like you need to go to the dentist. You need to look like you need to brush your teeth. You look like you need hygiene. You look like you need help. Tell your man 50 send you an ounce or something, yo.
You do need
You
that
might
help.
need
That's
2
why-
ounces, nigga.
That's why
Paid
we
in full
looking to
movie,
see-
nigga. I got a G for every bump in your face, nigga. I promise you that, nigga.
That's
I
a
promise
fact.
you that, nigga.
That's why he worried about
Peon, you broke, nigga. You know
See?
I got it, nigga. What's
Don't-
up? The
ain't
bag
nobody-
is up. The both sides.
Hey, yo.
Hey, Flea, where the both sides, Flea?
Let me finish that off. Ain't nobody taking care of over here, B. Yo, nah, you good, my nigga. I fucking love it. They deserve it. They need to hear this shit, man, because they bugging out here. All these niggas worrying about who taking care of who. We take care of we. Ain't no who
nigga.
take care of who, nigga. You know who doing it. We live.
Us,
We getting
the
money.
gangway, nigga. We take
You
care
feel
of
me?
everybody, nigga. We take care of each other, nigga.
That's a fact, my G. But linking back up with you, Jim, we missed out on a lot
this
of
is dope.
opportunity, bro. But we ain't gonna miss it out going forward.
Nah,
we need to
man.
put some pain together, bro.
Niggas do, I don't do. I do the other thing. Everything. Y'all niggas go across the street that way, I'm going up. Holla at your boy. I do other things, man. I don't do what y'all niggas do. I don't do what niggas do. I don't watch niggas' money. I don't care. I just do what I do.
Jim Jones just lost his cool and went all in on Tony Yayo during Memphis Bleek's own podcast. And what makes it even crazier is that Bleek doesn't even rock with Yayo like that either. So what's really going on here? Why does Memphis Bleek got smoke with Tony Yayo? And why did Jim Jones flip out the way he did? Stay tuned because this whole story heats up quick. Let's start with Bleek, because his part's easier to break down. Memphis Bleek's been tight with Jay-Z since the very start. He's basically like Hov's little brother. But Tony Yayo's been throwing shade at Jay-Z for years. Yayo once said that Hov tried to block 50 Cent from doing the Super Bowl halftime show, and that's something he clearly never got over. So when Yayo sat down with Shannon Sharpe, he went off. He called Jay-Z a hater, saying he never helps nobody win and doesn't put people on. Then he took it further. He even threw shots at Bleek, saying, look at Memphis Bleek, he not shining, he not winning. Jay-Z don't take care of him like 50 takes care of me. That one line, it blew everything up. Like seriously, arguing over who's got the better sponsor is wild. That's not how solid people move. Everyone knows you can't live off another man's plate. Once he stops feeding you, your people starve. So all this talk about 50 looks out more than Jay sounds crazy. Real ones handle their own grind, period. Sure, if your homie helps you, that's love. But bragging about it, that's a weird flex. Yayo's main message was that Jay-Z only moves for himself, but the way it came across made it seem like he was bragging about being taken care of, and that's just awkward. So when Memphis Bleek hit Drink Champs, he couldn't just let that slide. He had to clear things up once and for all. He said it wasn't real beef before. They'd been around each other plenty of times, even shared the same spaces and maybe worked together a bit. But after Yayo's little rant, yeah, the vibe changed fast. Not full-on war, but the tension's definitely in the air.
It is. The problem is, when she was on the show, she had said that she had heard about you wasn't giving Stack money, but people don't know that when Stack asked you for the bread, you were going to the bank. I think the bank was closed. Something happened because me and Bino talked about it. I remember being there, and you was going to give him
more money after the money he spent because we was on tour. He like, geez, I spent all that tour money, geez, on Pop, I bug it. Whatever he did, brought another Porsche, BMW, like, yo, Pop, geez, you said closed mouth don't get fed, geez, I'm Pop, geez, I'm hurting.
It's a fact.
And when I told him, I said, yo, go get 25 grand from the bank tomorrow. He like, oh, yo, what's up with that Wrangler truck? I'm like, I left that shit in Brooklyn. I don't even want that shit. I don't even know what block it's on. Matter of fact, it's by the car shop where I got the Maserati from. He like, you let me get that, geez. I'm like, go take it. You probably got to get a new key. He like, oh, I'm going to go get that tomorrow, geez. You different, geez. And we all know the rest of the story.
Why do you think that people have this misconception of what happened? Why do you think even her? Why do you think that? Where did that come from?
Nobody likes to hear the truth.
Because we were there. Bino get mad all the time. And he gets offended. And he was one of the people that called me. He was like, that's not true. They think that, what they think is that Stack asked you, he told you he wanted to leave. They said that Stack told you he wanted to leave, he wanted to move, or and you didn't move him out. But that's not true.
You want to hear that story? All right, for Stacks and them, I was about to buy Stacks, the kid Max and Melly, a whole brownstone in New Jersey. None of them wanted to leave the hood. And I was not about to waste my money. And I was what I offered them. I went shopping for the shit and all that type of shit.
Yeah, we remember that, right, Baz? We remember that. Shout out to Baz. I remember the conversation.
And I'm like, yo, you bugging. You want to, like, yo, you could go to the hood every day, but you're going to be living in Jersey. Like, you're going to be living better than, like, you heard? And you don't have to worry about paying for no rent or nothing like that. I'm just trying to get you niggas out the hood. Melly, too. Melly ended up getting shot, right? Like none of these would listen, and everything that happened that you know can happen in the hood end up happening and shit like that. You know what I mean? But everything to try to protect them for what I know could have happened to them, I tried. You heard? From getting all of these cars to getting all these, everything. You can imagine everything. Private jets, Miami, hundreds of thousands in one weekend, 2 tour buses at Atlanta. Like, cannot front on how I had my boys moving. And I'm only talking about this because you was there and you and Stacks were best friends, were Bino, couple others and like that. Other than I don't even talk to people about Stacks and what went on, but we was setting it out. This was not on our level when we was moving, and no way.
And from the way Bleek spoke, it's clear what he meant. Basically, forget Tony Yayo. Straight up. But here's where it gets even wilder. Tony Yayo's known for calling out rappers who don't look after their crew, and that same speak your mind energy, that's exactly what set him on a collision course with Jim Jones next. Now everybody remembers those wild G-Unit versus Dipset days. 50 Cent, Cameron, Jim Jones, pure chaos every time they crossed paths. Most people thought that beef was ancient history, right? Wrong. The tension's back, and this time it's way deeper and way more personal. Jim Jones and Tony Yayo been going at each other again, and it all started when Yayo dropped a bomb on Math Hoffa's podcast. Yayo claimed that Jim Jones left stack bundles behind in the hood. Yeah, you heard that right. According to Yayo, Jim didn't look out for Stack when he needed it most, and that neglect supposedly played a part in how everything went down. That's a heavy thing to say, and it hit a lot of people in the culture hard. Now, if you don't know who Stack Bundles was, here's the deal. Stack was one of Jim's day one artists, signed under him, part of the Bird Gang movement. Jim brought him on tour, showed him how the industry worked, gave him that big look early on. But for years, folks have whispered that Jim didn't do enough for Stack. And that's why tragedy struck the way it did. Stack Bundles never really left the block, and that's where the story gets complicated. Some say Jim didn't protect him, others say Stack just wouldn't listen. Honestly, that kind of thing happens more than people think. Sometimes you can hand someone the whole game plan, the keys to success, and they still won't take the next step. You can want greatness for them, but if they don't want it for themselves, there's only so much you can do. From what people say, that's exactly how it went down between Jim Jones and Stack Bundles. But the streets started talking heavy, claiming Jim took Stack's whole wave. The way he dressed, talked, moved, people swore Jim ran off with the style Stack built. And to be fair, Stack Bundles had that it factor. If things hadn't gone the way they did, he could have easily been sitting front row at Paris Fashion Week next to ASAP Rocky. That's how much influence he had. Still, the critics wouldn't let up. They said Jim stole the sauce and left Stack behind, which made the whole situation even uglier. But Jim's never backed down from defending himself. He's always said that wasn't true, that he tried everything to get Stack out of the hood. He says he gave him money, opportunities, took him on tours, and pushed him to make moves. According to Jim, Stack just didn't want to leave that street life, and that's what made it so painful to watch. Jim said it himself. He never abandoned Stack. He just couldn't make him walk away from the block. Believe it or not, that's the story Jim stands on to this day. And when he talked about it during that interview, you could hear the pain in his voice. He got emotional, snapping at anyone who even mentioned Stack's name. And at that point, Tony Yayo hadn't even spoken his part yet. But now you can see exactly why Jim was fuming. Things were about to explode. Stack Bundles wasn't just another artist to Jim, that was family. This situation hit deep. Now, nobody really knows the full truth. Whether it's about that rumored $25,000, the GWA talk, or whatever else went down. But one thing's for sure, anything tied to Stack still hits a nerve for Jim Jones. So when Tony Yayo brought Stack's name up, Jim took it like straight up disrespect. When Jim sat down with Memphis Bleek and Tony Yayo's name got mentioned, man, it got tense fast. Bleek tried to keep things chill, but Jim, he snapped. He made it clear from the start that he's not starving, his crew's not starving, and this whole back and forth about who's got the better sugar daddy is flat out ridiculous. Together, bro. Don't lie. Jim shot back, setting the tone real quick. Then Jim started going off, flexing his success, talking money, cars, lifestyle, the whole thing. He started comparing himself to Yayo, basically saying, look where I'm at, look where you at. But here's the twist. That wasn't even the point Yayo was making. Tony never said Jim was broke. In fact, he literally said, Jim is good. His real point was that Jim's circle didn't look good, like his people weren't eating the way he was. If Jim had actually focused on that part instead of turning it into a money flex, this whole situation might have gone a totally different way. Maybe it wouldn't have turned into such a firestorm, but once pride jumps in, logic walks out. Jim wasn't trying to hear anything that sounded like criticism. You could see it in his face, and that pride hit heavy. He felt like Yayo was trying to clown him in public, and Jim don't play about his name or his team. He fired back hard. Ain't nobody feeding me. I built this from the ground up. He made sure everyone knew he's never lived off anybody's plate. Not Jay-Z's, not 50's, not nobody's. But instead of letting it cool off, Jim doubled down even harder. He turned it right back on Yayo, calling him out for being too dependent on 50 Cent. Jim said Yayo's always hiding behind his boss's shadow, never standing on his own. And that's when the whole energy in the room flipped. What started as a conversation turned into pure confrontation. You could feel the tension. Bleek tried to calm it down, but Jim was gone by then. His emotions had fully taken over. And from that moment, it was clear. This wasn't about Yayo anymore. This was personal. It all came crashing down. Years of tension, old comparisons, and nonstop disrespect finally boiling over. All those, you don't take care of your people shots, pushed Jim Jones to his breaking point. And in that moment, he made one thing loud and clear. He wasn't backing down for nobody. Not from Tony Yayo, not from the critics, not from anyone. Jim stood tall, flexing his wins, his success, his money, but that wasn't really the issue, right? Because deep down, this wasn't about who's richer or who's struggling. It was about pride, loyalty, and how the streets see respect. But Tony Yayo wasn't about to stay quiet either. He clapped back his own way. No long rant, no back and forth. Instead, Yayo dropped a subtle bomb on his Instagram story. He reposted Max B, Jim's longtime rival. That move said everything without saying a word. The internet went wild instantly. Fans split down the middle. Some saying Jim had every right to defend himself, others saying Yayo hit a nerve by keeping it real. The comments, the memes, the debates, it all exploded overnight. So now it's your turn. Who do you think came out on top? Team Jim Jones or Team Tony Yayo? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, share this with your people, and don't forget to subscribe. Keep the convo going in the comments. This one's far from over.